So here we go again. I finally had some free time and look at what we're talking about now. So I made a video about this person like a month ago, and I know I sounded like it was more of a one-off, but I learned that when it comes to Amberlynn, you can't do a one-off, it just kind of pulls you in. Plus I did more of an overview of her rather than anything else, and I didn't really talk about concrete things. Today, as the title suggests, we're going to specifically talk about the other things. This was going to be called Rage Against the Food Pyramid, but I'm saving that for something else once again. I know I mentioned that title last time, but I want to save it. So where I left off last time, we were mainly talking about people that she knows and her behaviors towards them, but the main things here are the other events involving her channel and the rabbit hole. To start off, there was something that happened called Unsub from Amber, which involved her dieting, and I didn't know about this until now, but I'm not surprised. She started it off by saying that she does follow some reaction type channels, and they always talk about her when she talks about diets, and how she's sick of everyone always talking about her diets. She acts like this isn't something that she puts on the internet herself or has any responsibility for, and makes it out like people are just randomly latching on to details of her life out of nowhere. I don't condone people actually being assholes, but a lot of what she calls hate is just critical people asking her why she doesn't stick to her diets when she herself claims that she does, or tries to make excuses for why she can't.
This has made me realize that maybe I just should not be sharing my weight loss journey whatsoever with YouTube. If that's all people are trying to look for is, oh my god, does Amberlynn have diabetes? I bet she does. I know she does. She should. Or, oh my god, I know Amberlynn is over 600 pounds. She's probably like 620. Oh, she's 640 now. Look at her face in this video. Oh, look at her body. Like, what? People are wanting me to be bigger. There are videos of people wanting me to be bigger. There are comments, there's messages. People want me to be bigger than what I really am, when I'm already too big, like literally. People want to know my weight in every video. People want me to step on the scale in every video. Like, that's all people want me to talk about. I think I'm just done with it. Like, I literally think I'm done with it for now, because it's becoming an obsession for people, and I know people aren't gonna admit to that, but it's true. Y'all are becoming obsessed. I'm not speaking to everybody, because not everybody is like that, but the obsession is real, and y'all need to chill out.
She goes on about how people want her to be bigger, and she also says that people who watch her are all on board and support her, and she has a lot of people who hate on her for everything. It's kind of like a clusterfuck of random topics. She is still in denial that most of her content is watched by people who dislike her most of the time. Nevertheless, people started to unsub from her in droves after she said that she would stop the dieting, and she ignored it at first but kept publishing videos until it got to the point where she couldn't ignore it, and she made a Snapchat apology where she kind of apologizes, but spends a lot of time saying that she published those other videos after the backlash because she already had them edited and was proud of them.
People will hate on me for everything, so it's whatever at this point, you know? And I just appreciate the people who do watch my videos, because they actually truly do enjoy them and enjoy me as a person.
So we're gonna do this with no filter. I'm just kidding. I just wanna like apologize to everyone that I've like upset. Like I said, my last two videos were pre-recorded, and I wanted to upload them because I did work on them, I did do them, I did edit them, I already had them scheduled to go up, and my whole, like everything, how I feel is completely different. I currently have 3 videos for you guys where I am talking about weight loss and working my way into a better me, and I really do apologize. I didn't mean to upset anyone. In the moment, I just really thought I was doing what was best for me by just taking my weight loss off the internet and just being, screw it, you know, I thought it would be better for me.
I didn't even really care about those other videos until she started making so many excuses for them. They were kind of just a thing in the back of my mind, where she made it more noticeable by pointing it out to make excuses for it, saying that she put a lot of effort into them and a lot of editing or something or other. I don't. Every time she starts going on a tangent, my brain kind of explodes, and I have to put it back together, and then I get distracted. And she then had a bunch of videos on her channel following this, where she made announcements about new diets and lots of weigh-ins, more than before. But she still does the eat with me type of videos in between with quite a lot of food, and seems to think that chicken and beans don't really count as, you know, fat intake, so she eats a lot of those. Like a lot of those, believing that it doesn't do anything towards her weight. And also has copious amounts of spices and seasonings in her food, to the point where when other people have tried the cooking, and following the exact same recipe that she has posted in her video, they've almost choked or thrown up because of the amount of acidity, salt, or anything else because of the copious amounts of seasoning. This also destroys the taste buds, so she'll just put more and more on as her taste buds get worse.
The first thing that you taste when you initially put it in your mouth and start to chew on the mushrooms and the meat and stuff and the beans is tomato. It has a metallic tinge to it, a metallic taste, and I do not like it at all. And as I swallowed it, salt. The mushrooms do not belong in here. I'm gonna just say that. Like, she did the mushrooms dirty. 3 different types of beans aren't necessary either. I feel like red beans is just fine. You don't need chickpeas and black beans in a chili. I really don't know what else to say. Like, it's, and another prominent taste is the cumin. It's very much there, and like the chili mix, obviously chili has cumin in it. So the chili mix plus the regular brown cumin, it's so strong and it's prominent. Oh my gosh, I'm about to vomit. I'll try one more bite. I hope I don't vomit. Very salty.
And these also have effects that make a lot of health problems a lot more apparent. For example, she claims that she went to the doctor about what she reckons is sleep apnea, where when she sits up or sleeps, she gets very short of breath and has trouble breathing, whatever. Apparently the doctor said this sounds like it's probably sleep apnea, and she doesn't actually go and get a checkup or do a proper sleep study, she just kind of rolls with it. But if we look at the food and the reactions that people have had from the recipes, she puts a lot of salt and tomatoes in her food, which can be seen in the recipe video here. An excessive amount of both of these can cause breathing problems, heart problems, and low oxygen intake issues. With the amount of onion and garlic salts, pastes, and other forms of onion and garlic that she adds, I'm pretty sure these are both sulfur rich and heating. So eating an excessive amount could cause a bunch of problems as well. There's always a specific cause. Even as someone who's not a doctor or any nutritional dietitian person, it's kind of obvious to see that putting copious amounts of these things in food can have negative issues. And yet, it's never an issue of responsibility or examining these things, because apparently they don't count for anything. I think it was the Weight Watchers thing where she said that chicken and beans count as 0 points. So they count as like, she genuinely believes that it's like drinking water, like there's like no consequence to eating copious amounts of these things. But somewhere along the way it also became, if I put seasoning on these things, that'll also count towards 0? I'm not entirely sure, but you can clearly see that there's an issue with that. There's a disconnect, and it's the accountability that is just, the lack of accountability and responsibility that is just getting worse and worse and worse with dear Amber.
So this is like, I'm still doing Weight Watchers, obviously, still on track. See, that's what I like about it, because you're able to eat things like this, but just calculate it in points, so. And this is about, 2 servings of jasmine rice is 10 points. Half of this was 4, but when you do 2 servings, it comes out to 7, because they always round up around.
In another example, she eats chickpea something something with the rice, and she claims both bowls of them are 2 servings. People clocked on to them actually being 4 servings of rice, and she makes an entire other video on a box of rice and how to cook the rice in the box of rice. That doesn't really prove anything, because all she does is just read the box. Like, I know. Like, congratulations, you can follow instructions on the back of the box. What are you trying to say?
Hey guys, so I'm about to have a snack. Okay, I'm just making sure this is recording. I'm about to have a snack. So I'm gonna let everyone know that I am showing you guys the calories for everything, as you guys can see. I also wanted to talk about this jasmine rice. I've been getting a lot of tweets of people saying I ate way more than 2 servings of jasmine rice, which is not true. So this is the container that I ate out of when I did my Indian mukbang, and this is the new one that I bought that I haven't opened yet. So I want to show you guys the instructions that I follow. So right here, it shows if you want to make 2 servings, this is what you need. If you want to make 4 servings, this is what you need, etc., etc. So
It's just kind of strange when someone goes on about how they don't pay attention to their haters, yet they constantly have these self-diagnosis problems and also constantly make these videos mentioning specific things that apparent haters have been talking about, because it shows that she's being bothered by them. But she's also trying to get sympathy and stop people from bothering her about them by self-diagnosing. It's kind of a clusterfuck of, I don't even know what word to use here. On top of all that, there's more self-diagnosis, and I didn't even mention much of those last time. I mentioned the BetterHelp thing last time about how they don't diagnose, and she claimed that they did. But she also claims that she was diagnosed with bipolar at a young age, when you can't diagnose someone with that because of how puberty and other development affects them. And it's such an intense thing that people have to take medication and go to therapy for it. Can't diagnose someone who's going through puberty and all those issues with bipolar because of how much it affects them and how much they're changing. When someone's trying to work themselves out like that, and it's mistaken for bipolar, for instance, if you get medicated and go to therapy for it, when it's not really something you should need to go to therapy for because it's a misdiagnosis, it could seriously affect your development. People shouldn't diagnosed that way. So even if she somehow did get diagnosed at that age, it would be by someone who was not doing the right thing at all with their job. And bipolar itself is such an intense thing that people would have to take medication and go to therapy for it. But now she claims that she probably kind of has it, as if that's something that you can just feel like you have. Like you feel sad once in a while, then you feel happy afterwards. Must be bipolar, even though people have to take strict medication and go to therapy for it. She also says that she has OCD as a personality trait, which, do I even need to say anything? She treats these things as a shield so she can get sympathy and brush away criticism, but she doesn't realize that it's so transparent that she's clearly doing this for attention and faking these diagnoses that it does the opposite of what she wants. This is kind of random, but it's a thing that a lot of people have been bringing up, where she shows her shower at one point and shows that she's taking a bath. Even while I'm watching it, I'm not entirely sure why she wants to film that, but I'll bring up something that I brought up last time because I think they're kind of related. I mentioned before that she says she has self-esteem issues and anxiety, but she wears her dresses backwards to show more cleavage. She shows a lot of skin and a lot of herself in these shower segments, and it just seems to be for kind of the same reason. She wants to have both sides of the coin, where she thinks that if she self-diagnoses and goes on about how many issues she has, she'll get all of the sympathy from it, but at the same time she wants, I don't know, she wants to put herself in these situations where she's showing lots of cleavage and like doing all of these weird things that someone who I guess would be more confident would do, so it kind of contradicts it because she wants both of those things at the same time when they don't really work. But also going off of that, some people think that she doesn't actually use her shower or take showers in general. We don't see a lot of her shower, but I managed to draw from things that I've seen from that show My 600-Pound Life, so I'm kind of gonna go off of that because I think she's a similar size. There's a video where you can see insects crawling around on her skin under her clothes, and she doesn't really seem to notice, so I think that not taking too many showers is not out of the realm of possibility. But a lot of people that I've seen in the same weight group in shows like My 600-Pound Life cannot fit in a normal shower, and if they do, they have to be hosed off outside of the shower because they can't actually reach anything in the shower. And Amber has showed that she can't actually stand up for more than 3 minutes, and even the quickest of proper showers don't take 3 minutes if you're doing a good job, especially if you have more mass to go over. She would have to sit down somewhere and or have someone help her. Some of the most extreme cases that I've seen is people having to sit in bed and have a significant other use some sort of sponge on a stick or something, and I don't even mean that as a joke. That's actually what they had to do. One of Omegon's videos on her, he brings up this sort of theory that he has on the shower thing. I'm just gonna play that as well because it's a good take on it, and I can't really explain it as well myself.
You see, I live in a house with a wet room, and it's quite useful for those who are disabled that formerly lived in the house. Now it's just a walk-in shower, really. You walk in, have a shower, walk out. But the parameters for the shower rail have always remained based on average sizes for human beings. This applies to those who have bathtubs that are converted to showers. It's based on averages, and it's quite important. Now I get it, in America things are a little grander. However, there are still averages that come into effect. And no matter how many times I see this clip of video, I'm not convinced in that very clip she's in fact having a shower at all. Why does it look like she's using the bath mat for a towel? So to simplify, my theory is that I do not believe she showers in that house. There are a couple of factors that come into it that make me wonder. Firstly, based on the depth of what we are seeing, I'm not convinced she could fit in there. And secondly, this one's quite important. I noticed when she did a weigh-in at 572 pounds, she couldn't lift her foot 2 inches to get onto the scale. Now I'm sure for those that are larger, perhaps it's 3, maybe 4 inches, but it was still a considerable lack of distance from ground to surface. For most showers, there are those little lips, aren't there, where you have to raise your foot over to get in. And even with those grippers, someone of her size who can barely balance at the best of times, without the assistance of railings, is going to struggle to get in.
Speaking of water, there's a video I saw a while back where she went swimming. I don't think she's been there for a while, but she brings her dog in and her dog doesn't actually want to go in. It's fucking screaming and she just drops it in the water as she falls over anyways.
Put it under a tail. Put it under a tail.
A lot of people have clocked onto the fact that she overfeeds her dog.
He ended up coming, and he says that he gets calls all the time that are legit, but he also gets calls that aren't. So it's his job, and he literally called himself a professional. He had a shirt that literally looked professional even, like with a little thing saying what he was and stuff. Anyways, that's his job to go and take the animals. When they're in a bad environment, they're to be taken. I think that's what I was scared of, because this is what I live with. I live with people leaving horrible, mean comments down below and people believing them. So he said that this person said that Twinkie's nails are super, super long. He said that Twinkie supposedly had scabs all over her. That she's overweight. His words, that professionally, Twinkie looks great.
She mentions at one point that the dog is 16 pounds and the good weight for a Chihuahua is around 5 pounds. So it's like 11 pounds over the healthy amount. Its nails are also completely messy and need a trim. Some people have said that there are scabs all over it. She got a call from animal control and there's a lengthy story about how she invites them in and they said everything was fine, and she goes on about how she's like a victim or something, I don't know. I find it kind of awkward that so the way she tells the story, she's like, I got him to come in and I explained what I do and I explained that people like to hate on me, and it's just, I'm imagining this animal control person sitting down and listening to this person just explain this like victim narrative to them about being hated on the internet. It's just kind of funny to me that she would spill the beans like that. But here's the thing. I'm not sure that with everything that she has personally said about the dog, that she would get the response of "it's all good" from an animal control person, especially since she's admitted in videos that he's way overweight. That would be a primary concern. Not only that, but in the area that she lives, the whole animal abuse thing, there's barely any laws about them. It could be basically a non-existent issue. So if someone from animal control were to come around, they could likely not even give a shit about the animal. They could just be answering the call, and that still doesn't mean that the dog is healthy or in a good condition. It just means that the people around them who are responsible for him are not taking control. Either way, it doesn't prove that the dog is healthy when it's clearly not. So with all of this, Amber is continuing to make content as if nothing is wrong, to the point where she only even acknowledges things when she has a pro-Jared level hit that tells her that she can't ignore it. I honestly fear for her animals, but when it comes to animal abuse, Kentucky is, as I said before, extremely neglectful and negligent about animal abuse to the point where these things wouldn't really matter, so I don't think anyone could really do anything about it. She seems the same as she was the last time I talked about her, albeit I mentioned a lot more in this one. Even though things aren't going to change for her yet, here I am, talking about her again, and I will probably be here later on, finding out some more weird things that I can't help but talk about. It's just one of those things that you watch it from afar and then you can't help it. It curses you. It's like a cursed image, but it's a person. A lot of people have been talking about Eugenia Cooney in comparison to her, and I've got to say, I kind of get it, but I kind of disagree. I even at one point mentioned in the first video I did on Amber that I agree with that, but now I know with Eugenia Cooney, she's actually getting help, which I think is a huge difference because there's a difference in attitude. Amber has the ability to get better. If anything, she has more of an ability than Eugenia does, because I think by having a bigger audience and having a lot of the issues that Eugenia had, she probably had more of an opportunity to lapse and completely give up. Amber seems that she has a lot of healthy-ish people around her that she could get help from, and they're all enablers, sure, but it seems like she has more access to resources and the ability to help her. And all of her enablers are kind of riding her coattails and using her for vlogs and their channels, but she doesn't seem to care because she can get them to get her food. Even when she's still in the car with them, she's making them get it instead of doing it herself. So I think with all of these surrounding factors, the sympathy that people have for her have gone out the window a long time ago, and yet here we all are. It's kind of impossible to look away. It's like an explosion, or an implosion, whatever you want to call it. It's like people are just kind of waiting for bated breath, seeing what's going to happen next, and knowing that, to the point where if I think if she honestly said and was honest with the fact that she was getting help for this, people wouldn't really believe her. They would think that it was some sort of scam or something that she was doing, because of how many times she has tried to come off as if that's happening to her, as if she is getting help but she isn't trying at all, and then she ignores all the criticism from that. So I think it's a very interesting situation. At least it's interesting enough for me to make a part 2 anyway, of this person that I don't even know. It's kind of depressing, honestly. It really is. But if you're feeling sad, hey, just eat a bowl of beans and a whole chicken. That'll cheer you up real good. See ya.